I strongly believe in the idea of Christians owning property. The world is better off with Christians in positions of financial strength, and cash flowing property can do just that. My friend Steve has built a substantial real estate portfolio here in New Hampshire, and now he's teaching Christian brothers to do the same. Go to consultingbycurios.com. He's got options where he coaches you through buying your first rental property or done-for-you options for busy people. Again, visit consultingbycurios.com. The link is in the description.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be part 4 of the Bronze Age Masculinity with Andrew Sandlin episode of Apologia Radio. And Luke Pearson's on the screen. You know what it is already. He's already triggered. But before I begin, I did want to mention a really good comment that I got in the second to last video. Somebody commented and said, "Hey, AD, I hear what you're saying about Luke Pearson getting triggered, but isn't your whole YouTube platform just you getting triggered?" And, you know, I thought about that for a second, and, you know, he's kind of right. He's kind of right. That is kind of what my whole YouTube shtick is. But all I can say to that is, with me, it's different. Yeah, it's just different. I don't know what else to tell you. It's just a different thing. When I get triggered, you know, you come to the AD Robles YouTube channel, you just expect that I'm going to be going in all the time. But so it's kind of like, I mean, I guess you could say it's all about being triggered, but it's just you know, it's all in good fun. It's all jolly most of the time, anyway. Sometimes I do get really triggered though, and I said as much in the last video. So, in any case, I thought that was a good one. You know, isn't your whole YouTube channel you getting triggered? He gets me, man. He just gets me. What can I say? In any case, let's go back to Pastor Pearson here. He's going in, man.
You calling stuff gay?
Yeah.
And this may get a shutdown on Twitter. I'm just or on YouTube. I mean, but like, it's crazy.
No. Listen. You know, listen. It doesn't get you shut down on YouTube. I call things gay all the time. You know what I mean? It's totally fine. No problem. They have no problem with it over here on YouTube. Allegedly.
Good, like people like Andrew Sandlin, who's been serving the Lord for 42 years. The fruit from his ministry is incredible, and you're calling him gay because he's saying, "Hey, you shouldn't be saying stuff like that."
Well, I've never called Andrew Sandlin gay, and I don't know why other people may have called him gay. I haven't seen it, but I mean, it's possible that they called something he said gay. Because maybe something he said was gay. I don't really know why, but you know, I try to you know, take the fifth commandment seriously. In fact, like I said, I'm going to be meeting with my pastors to talk about the fifth commandment, and you know, I decided that I wanted to talk a few things through with them, and they were more than happy to do so. But yeah, I mean, I think we definitely owe a certain level of honor to our elders and all this kind of stuff, but it does not insulate them from criticism. And unfortunately, I've seen Andrew Sandlin say a lot of just very bizarre type things. And so I've never called him gay, but you know, maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. I'm not going to defend it because I don't know who did it and why.
Like, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about, and that's why it has to be rooted out. So again, you want names, start with Corey Miller, start with the Stone Choir.
But he keeps saying that, like, it has to be rooted out. That's why it has to be rooted out. Why? I think calling something, I'm not talking about Andrew again, I don't know what happened there, but you know, if something is gay, and it's promoting, you know, sort of a fruitlessness, it's promoting sort of a consumerist mindset, it's promoting sort of this lack of generational understanding and just societal understanding and things like that. There's a good reason to call it gay. In fact, you know, like I said in the last episode, you know, Pastor Luke, if you want to hear why gay is coming back as a slur, and I'm in support of it. I think it's very good. It's not just a slur. It's actually a whole mindset. And we've, you know, broken it down. We've thought it through. We say it for a very particular reason, at least a lot of us do. Some people just say it because it's fun to say. It's a schoolyard slur, whatever. But there is actually meaning behind it. And we're allowed to do that too. That's the thing. We're allowed to do that too. I mean, I remember when Pastor Durbin got into trouble for telling a kind of an edgy joke and all this kind of stuff. And I don't think I defended him at the time, but I would have if I had a platform. I mean, it was just a joke. I mean, it was just an edgy thing, and it was totally relevant to our cultural moment. I would never have said it. And just like in the last episode, I was talking about when Doug Wilson said the word cunt. I wouldn't use that. I've never used that word. In my entire life, I've never used that word, except if I'm talking about someone else saying it. I've never done that, and I never would probably. But I understand what he's doing, right? He's not just popping off at the mouth. You see, we're allowed to do that too. We're grown adults. I understand you don't quite like it, but that's just the way it works. I mean, you guys taught us how to do this kind of stuff.
You can get lost in that real quick, and you can see the vileness that we're talking about.
I mean, just really, again, we keep going back to social media, but the comment sections of these posts really do speak for themselves. There's a ton of vitriol. There's a ton of awful things. And of course, the problem, as you pointed out...
I mean, brother, it's the internet. This is always how it's been. It's always been this way. This is always how the internet is. This is what the internet is. And it doesn't mean it's good behavior necessarily, but it just doesn't do you any good to just rant and rave about anonymous people on the internet. Here's one thing I would say. I said this on Twitter yesterday. I said, one thing that I think would be actually helpful and received very well is if there was some level-headed commentary. Level-headed is the key. Level-headed commentary directed at the Anons, all about the various pitfalls and dangers of being Anon, and the kind of the anonymity of the speech. There's a temptation sometimes that's associated with that you need to watch out for. I think that would be received very well. But instead what we're getting is a bunch of veiled accusations, a lot of mudslinging, a lot of name-calling, which, again, you're talking about schoolyard slurs and all this kind of immature behavior, and then on the other hand, you're like, well, you're just all in your parents' basement. It's just the young guys. It just doesn't make any sense. We all see that. There's an inconsistency there. I think that that kind of content, level-headed, serious content directed at the Anons, for the Anons, to help them in their Christian walk, if they are Christians, and if they're not, I mean, obviously, you give them the gospel, you're very good at that. I think that would have been received well, but that's not what we're getting here. That's not what we're getting here. Dr. White famously said, we're all on the playground and sit down, shut up, all this kind of thing. The thing is, we're all on the playground together. We're in the playground with you. You're there with us. You're there on our level. We're all doing the same stuff. And we see that. We see that, man. It's just the inconsistency, the hypocrisy. It's just all part of this, man. I'll never forget this. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. One of the first things that people used to criticize me was that I was mocking people, and it's unbecoming of a Christian. Christians ought never to mock, stuff like that. They get all high and mighty. And there was one person in particular who was very upset about this. Christians, this is not Christian behavior to mock and this and this and that. But the truth is that if you go through this guy's feed, and I'm talking about Jared C. Wilson, there's tons of mockery. He doesn't believe what he's saying. He just doesn't like my targets. He just doesn't like that I was mocking Russell Moore. He just doesn't like that I was mocking Matt Chandler. That's what it was. It was the target, not the action. He's full of it. He's totally full of it. And in the same way, I'm not saying you guys are totally full of it, but the thing is, the immature behavior and all this kind of stuff, guys, we're all in this together. So that doesn't do you any good to just rant and rave about their immature behavior when your immature behavior is apparent. It just makes no sense.
Is that a lot of these people don't have names or identifiable pictures associated with who they are. So
ignore them.
Level of accountability,
So ignore them. If they're not in your church, ignore them. Just ignore them. That's what you do. That's how you handle it. You ignore them. What you definitely don't do is then go into the comment section and then do your little tweet research and say, oh, this guy's responding to AD Robles, and AD said nothing about it. He must be part of it. And look, this guy over here said this horrible thing. And he also said this thing, which is not quite as horrible. But I saw Eric Kahn say that thing, which is not quite as horrible. So I'm going to connect those two and say Eric Kahn is connected to this guy who said this horrible thing. And that's what you don't do. That's what you definitely do not do. And that happened in the previous woke wars as well, where it's like, I'm now held responsible for anyone who's ever commented on any of my posts. I do not police my posts. I do not answer most of my comments. I don't answer them. I don't have time for that. Who has time for that? So they're anon. Okay, great, Zach. They're anon. Remember that when you decide how to proceed. Because 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, probably 999 times out of 1,000, the way to proceed is to just move on and forget it. Ignore it. That's how you do it. I've got an antagonistic anons all the time coming at me. And you know what I don't do? I don't take them seriously. I don't get all angry. 99 times out of 100, I don't respond. One out of 100, I'll usually play a little bit, but that's it.
Kind of a mob tendency going on there too. Did you have a question?
Well, yeah, and it's funny. I wore the shirt if you're not the mob because that's what's happening. Like, look, I'm not even gonna read these comments anymore because they're irritating me to no end. I've had to block probably 15 at least friends that I've been friends with for a long time that have supported our ministry because of their behavior on social media. And it's like people that I've known forever, that I've worked with, that I've partnered with for the gospel, and they're turning on us and saying some of the most awful things, slandering us, making false accusations with like no evidence whatsoever. And we're like, what are you guys doing? Why are you behaving like this? And it goes exactly back to what Andrew's talking about. It's this idea that when you think someone's wrong and you disagree with them, you just start mocking them. It's okay to slander. And guess what this is? This is called idolatry. Right.
Yeah, and there's a little slip of the tongue there, and I think that this is often the case. I'm not saying, Luke, if you listen to this, I doubt you will, but if you do, I'm not saying you're doing this. Okay, so just let's not lose our heads here. But there was a little slip of the tongue there. If they disagree with you, it's okay to slander you and to mock you. And there were, I think a lot of times the mockery automatically is perceived as slander all the time. The mockery is perceived as slander, no matter if it's true, no matter if it's just, it's playful mocking, if it's aggressive mocking, it's automatically equal to slander. That's just not the case. It's just not how it is. There could be a slanderous way to mock someone, but there also could be a way to mock someone that you don't like. No, I never like when people mock me. But, you can mock me in a way that's not automatically slanderous. I don't know. I mean, I think that that's often what's happening here. They're getting mocked, by people, and they're like, and I think he kind of told it himself a little bit there. It's like people that are friends with us, they're friends of ours, and they're mocking me now, and that's happened to me too. That's happened to me too. Okay, I get it. I totally understand. I've got people that I've worked with, side by side for the gospel for, a long time. And then they all of a sudden started mocking me and saying all kinds of wild things about me. Okay. That's just how it is. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't block them because I'm not a child. Let them yell into the void. Let them do what they want to do. I mean, I'm not going to partner with them obviously anymore, but I didn't block them. I didn't rant and rave about them. If that's how it is, that's how it is. Maybe I'll mock them back a little bit. I mean, it's just, we'll see. Or 9 times out of 10, I don't do anything. I just move on with my freaking life. That's just how it is. It's the internet. You've got to get the ability to engage the internet as the internet. You know what I mean? I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh, hold on. Got something going on here. Oh, let me check it here. No, we're good. We're good. Let's continue.
Become what we worship. So I'm going to back up for a second because there's something else I meant to say. We kind of touched this at the beginning. There's a lot of people, the younger group that we're talking about, right? They're questioning a lot of things. They realize, especially after COVID, they're like, we've been...
Rightfully so. And I'm so glad Luke brought that up because that is important to understand. It is very important to understand contextually what's happening right now is that a lot of people for the very first time realize, man, I'm seeing them spin a narrative in real time and tons of people are going along with it. They're spinning it in real time. I can see where and how they're lying in real time. And yet people are still falling for it, man. How long have they been doing this? When did they start doing this? What things are they doing this with? That's natural. That's natural. I think those people, they may make mistakes. They may go off the deep end, but they need a lot of sympathy and they need help. What they don't need is this kind of just mudslinging and you know, I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, there's a lot of mockery coming our way as well.
They're literally saying we've been lied to about everything by everyone, right? And so instead of trying to seek truth objectively, they swing the pendulum all the way over to the other side to an extreme where everything is wrong, everyone's lied to us, and then they start questioning everything, including their pastors who've given them no reason to be questioned, right? And so
a lot of them have given them reason to be questioned. See, this is the thing. I think you guys need a little bit more sympathy for these kinds of people, because what I'm imagining is people that are really have gone off the deep end, because there are people like that have really gone off the deep end. I'm not imagining Eric Kahn, right, which is all part of this problem, because, you know, simultaneously they're waging these two wars that are connected for sure, but they're not being very careful with how they're talking about these things. But I'm imagining someone who went off the complete deep end, right? And the thing is, he's like, well, no, their pastors haven't given them any reason to, but a lot of them do have pastors that have given them many reasons to do this. A lot of pastors were fooled by COVID. A lot of pastors were fooled by Black Lives Matter. A lot of pastors were fooled by all of these kinds of things. The January 6th insurrection. Lots of people pastors were fooled by that. And I'm not saying distrust your pastors. If anything, I've been saying the exact opposite. I've been saying the exact opposite thing. That being said, let's not pretend that a lot of these guys have no reason for going off the deep end. No reason for questioning lots of things, including their pastors. A lot of these people do have a reason for that. That's just how it is.
Or what happens then, there's this idol that's formed. This idol of truth. And so again, even if they've never read this Bronze Age map,
I know he didn't mean that. I really know he didn't mean that. So I'm going to give him a huge pass. There's this idol of truth that they're seeking. He didn't mean it that way. It's just funny how it came out. But I think this is a good opportunity to declare a moratorium on calling things idols. Everything's an idol. Every single thing in the world is an idol. How about we just reserve idolatry for the things that are actually idolatry? How about that? Let's just, and maybe we can't have a moratorium on it because there really is idolatry out there. We all get that. But the next time you think in your brain, I'm going to call this an idol. You know, maybe just don't. Maybe just don't. Come up with some other way to express yourself. They've got the idol of truth. They're just looking for truth too much. Everything's idolatry. Yeah, if I really like fishing, it's now I have the idol of fishing. You know what I mean? If I really like watching baseball games, now I've got the idolatry of baseball. Like it's just too much. It's just too much. Please, let's just take a step back. We don't have to. There's no moratorium. I can't say that, but let's just kind of cool it on the idolatry. How about that?
Masculinity book. That's the idol we're talking about. It's this idea that we're talking about. And so then what happens is everything in their lives start to bow down to this idol. And verses about loving your neighbor, honoring your elders, forget it, because that doesn't bow down to their idol. And so you start to see behavior from these guys who claim the name of Christ, guys that you've known and loved and worked with, right? All of a sudden throw out those verses in the Bible because you're disagreeing with them and it doesn't jive with their idol. So all of a sudden they can start mocking you and slandering you and saying false things about you, denigrating your ministry, ad hominem attacks, go down the list. And that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. That's what needs to be addressed. It's a real problem. Guys, I'm sorry you think this is petty. It's not. 9 months ago.
I've said this many times, and I still believe it. If this is a problem in Apologia Church, you handle it, man. You handle it, brother. That's what you do. Remember when you're rebuking these people to not do it in anger, not to exasperate these people. You should remember those things, but you know that. You're a pastor. Handle it, brother. But at the same time, you're waging this fake, petty, ridiculous war against Eric Kahn and Joel Webbin and all of these kinds of guys. You participated in it, brother. You did. So, I'm not sorry that we're all confused that it's petty. Look, if it's a problem for you, I believe you. But the other stuff, that's petty. That's petty. And there was many mistakes made on your side when you decided to say that Joel Webbin was one of the leading figures of anti-Semitism in the church. That was a big error because all you did was muddy the waters. All you did was make this issue cloudy. All you did was make people look at you sideways when you tell us this is a real problem in your church. I believe you, but I don't have any problem with people saying, I'm not so sure about that because look at what they're doing over here. They said this is a major problem too, and it obviously isn't. So I believe you. If it's in the CREC, people have told me that. I believe you. Handle it. Do what you got to do. You're the pastor. I'm not. I'm staying out of that stuff. I'll stay out of it completely. You won't hear another word about that from me. But the problem is you've got work to do out here where you took this war that was inside your church, this problem inside your church, and then you said you projected it out here, and you said it's all these other people. I'm involved in that stuff. And I'm not going to stop being involved in that stuff. You could end this real quick. I'll never talk about this again. All you got to do is say, yeah, guys, man, Pastor Luke Pearson here, I'm a pastor. I'm not a perfect man. And I was a little too excited to share that video calling Joel Webbin all of these things from Tobias. I was just a little too excited about that. I clicked send. And I shouldn't have done that. That video went too far. I still think that Joel is dangerous, whatever. I think what all this stuff, but that video went too far. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. I'm asking for your forgiveness. You did something like that, Luke, and I would never address you again on this because I'm not involved in Apologia Church. I don't want to be involved in Apologia Church. I trust the pastors of Apologia Church to handle what's going on in Apologia Church. It's not my business. I'm not an investigative journalist. I'm not going to hire people to figure things out, what's going on in Apologia Church. It's just not my business. I don't want to do that. But I'm involved because I'm involved. You decided to bring this outside your church. It wasn't me. I didn't make that decision. You did. And you messed up when you did that. Sorry, but you messed up.
Years ago, I thought it was petty. That's the truth because I wasn't seeing it. Dr. White was saying, guys, you got to see this stuff. And I'm never on Twitter. I hate Twitter. Twitter's a dumpster fire. I understand it's a good tool. I'm on there now. I'm not advertising it. I'm on there only so I can read this stuff.
I found you.
I know. You can find me if you try, but I'm not. I don't want to participate in all that junk because it's exhausting. I don't have time for it. But I signed on just so I could read these threads because I'm getting sent all these links and I can never read them. And so, anyways, I'm getting way off track here. I forgot where I was even going with that. Sorry, I'm all fired up. Go ahead.
Well,
jump in.
I mean,
yeah, I think we're going to stop there. That was good. Yeah, man, I just think I think there's a lot of people out there that are confused by this. Like, AD, don't you trust us that this is in our church? We're telling you it's real. You don't believe us. You say you respect us and love us, but you don't believe us. It's like, I do believe you. I do. But the problem is that you decided that you were going to address this outside of your church, and you decided to address it with a ministry I'm involved with, and you made a bunch of mistakes when you did so. And that I'm involved in that. And so I believe you. Handle your churches. Go off. You got to do what you got to do because that's your church, not mine. But when you step outside the church and you start to apply it to other people who I know, I'm involved. And I'm not going to stop being involved until it's over. And hopefully it'll be over soon. But that's not my call. Because as it stands right now, the war continues. There's an embargo going. And you're still slinging mud at all of these same people. And it's got to come to an end at some point, and it will at some point. In any case, hope you found this video helpful. God bless.